Well, hello there, mamas. Welcome back. My name is Mama Mudhoni or Rangeshi Wandere Kihara. I'm a mother of two. I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, almost five, almost three. Keeps shocking me that I've been a mom for 5 years. Time does fly. I'm a certified lactation counselor as well as a certified child nutrition practitioner. And that means that I can support you and your family with breastfeeding, with child nutrition, poor weight gain, and any issues that might arise from that. I also support parents with sleep for their babies. And I run a business called the Mothership Village where we offer different services. We have child nutritionists, we have child psychologists, we have occupational therapists, etc. etc. You can find that online or at themothershipvillage.com. I also run Mama Modoni Foods where you can find porridge flour and nut butters and sauce, etc. etc. And that is at Mama Modoni Foods. Today we'll be talking about weaning, the basics of weaning. So when to start, how to start, and all that jazz. So let's get started. Now, the biggest question people usually have is when do you start weaning? The current recommendation by WHO is to start weaning when the baby is 6 months old. So sometimes with these people are a bit confused about whether to start at 24 weeks or 27 weeks because 24 weeks is actually 4 times 6, and then 27 weeks is actually what it works out, or 26 weeks is what it works out to, based on different months have different days and different number of mishika, sindio? Anyway, so either of the two is okay once your baby has actually turned 6 months, which is usually around 26 weeks. But if you want to do 24, if your doctor says it's okay, but 26-ish is usually what is recommended. There are also other indicators other than age that your baby needs to meet. The most important one being that your baby can actually sit up unsupported for at least a minute, give or take. And the reason why this is so important, and that is why sometimes you'll find some people wait for a few days or a few weeks until the baby can sit unsupported, is because the strength of the upper body is very important in preventing your baby from choking. So if your baby is eating like this, even if you try and eat, the swallow reflex is very different. Like you're not going to be able to swallow as well as if you sit upright. So it's very important for your baby to be able to sit upright for a few minutes, and even more important that they have neck strength. Please remember that in all my videos when I talk about babies, this is usually the average. Of course, there are other instances, let's say if your baby has cerebral palsy and etc., that are not covered in today's talk, and that maybe we can talk about in another video. But today's talk is based on a full-term child who's growing well and is now at 6 months. So neck strength is very important, and strength of the upper body is also important. Another way of telling whether your baby is ready to wean is that they actually look like they're interested in food. And the reason why this is not number 1, number 2, number 3, or number 4, it's actually bottom of the line is a lot of parents start weaning their babies at around 4 months when they start showing like they're interested in whatever it is that they're holding. So you're eating, and then the baby will start reaching out for food. Yes, it shows that they're interested in food, but it doesn't mean that they are ready to eat, right? It's important for them to show interest by 6 months, right? But at 4 months, at 3 months, 4 months, usually 4 or 5 months is when baby start reaching out for anything that you're holding. You could be holding a bomb and the baby will want to touch it and want to hold it and want to see what this is. And this is because they're now more in touch with their environment. So that is not a very important, like it's not number 1. So don't just start saying that now my baby is 4 months, then they look that they want to eat and so they're ready. They're not ready at 4 months. They still have to reach all these other milestones. Their hand-eye coordination, like basically a child can pick something and put in their mouth. So that means that their hand and their eyes can actually coordinate and get something into their mouth. And that is very important, especially for baby-led weaning, which we're going to talk about later. Another thing that needs to have gone away is the tongue thrust reflex. So the tongue thrust reflex is if when you put your finger in the baby's mouth, most times they'll do. And that's why you find babies who are weaned at 3-4 months, a lot of food actually comes out, and you'll find that the person or the caregiver, the mother, whoever, the father is giving the food, they'll keep doing this and putting the food back. The child does. And some people start saying, oh, my child was refusing food. No, your baby was not refusing food. It's that the tongue thrust reflex had not gone away. And this usually goes away at around 5.5, 5. By 6 months, most babies have lost it. If they haven't lost it, just give the baby a few more weeks or a few more days. And once you find that when you put your finger, the child does not push out the finger, then you know that the baby is actually ready to take in food and swallow without a problem. We can now move on to talk about the different types of weaning methods. So there's accelerated weaning, there's traditional weaning, and there's baby-led weaning. So traditional weaning is what we all grew up knowing. You blend baby's food, and then after a while you mash baby's food. After a while you mash with a fork, and then you give baby whole foods. That's the traditional way of weaning. The accelerated type of weaning is you start with purees and then move on to mash and move on to whole foods by the time the baby is about 8 months. In the traditional weaning, this usually takes about 3-4 months. But what WHO recommends is that babies on family food by 9-10 months of age. So accelerated weaning by 7.5-8 months, babies already on whole foods. Baby-led weaning, on the other hand, there's no puree, there's no mashing, there's no feeding baby, there's no forcing baby to eat. Baby shows you when they're ready to eat, takes food for themselves, puts it in their mouth, chews, swallows on their own, and everything is actually baby-led. Personally, I chose baby-led weaning because I just felt like it was a more wholesome way of doing things, an easier way of doing things. Whatever we cooked in the house is what baby ate. So if, for example, we were eating ugali and beef stew and skuma, that is what baby would eat. So I would mash, I'll show you in another video. I would mash the ugali in together with the ugali, form a ball or a strip depending on the age, and I would have the baby have that with a bit of the soup. The only thing we did is we didn't put salt in our food. The different methods of weaning, none is better than the other. It's really just up to you to decide which one you want to actually follow and which one works best for your family and which one works best for where you're at right now, in your mental space and all that. One thing to note though is that the thing of having to wait for so long to offer foods, that's no longer important. And it's no longer a recommendation. Remember that science is fluid and science keeps changing and research is done every single day, right? And the research that is there now is not going to be the same research that is there 10 years from now. So right now, one of the things that they're showing is babies need to have a lot of their foods early on, because if you delay giving foods, they're more likely to form an allergy. So what we used to be told is every 3 days, every 5 days, wait until 9 months to give meat, wait until 1 year to give eggs. That is no longer recommended. The 8 high allergen foods, we're going to put a poster here for that. You're actually supposed to offer them very early on. But for the 8 high allergen foods, you need to offer one and then wait 5 days, offer another, wait another 5 to 7 days, offer another. So for example, if the one you give yogurt, then that means that you're going to wait 5 days before you give almond butter. And then from there, you'll continue giving almond butter and yogurt. And then after that, another 5 days before you offer eggs. But for everything else, it is really fluid. You can still be able to give today potatoes and rice, tomorrow avocado and rice, the other day peas and beef stew and whatever. You really don't have to wait that long to be able to give food. I have a few notes here. Another thing people ask a lot is, what do you need to buy for you to be able to start weaning? Just like breastfeeding, the basics is just you, baby. So now for feeding, it's you, baby, food. You can even just use the plate in the house. You can use the spoons in the house and whatever it is that you have at home. Because I mean, people who live in Turkana or people who do not have access to other things, they still feed their babies and they mash food with their fingers and they take and they give the baby. So the basics is just food, clean food, baby, and you. But I'll talk about a few of my favorite items. One, I love a high chair. We use the IKEA high chair, but now current recommendations have changed. And the thing with the IKEA high chair, it doesn't have a footrest. So now the research has shown that a footrest actually lessens the chances of a baby choking. So if you want to buy the IKEA chair, I love it because it's so affordable. You can buy it and then create a footrest, even with a cupboard, or have a fundi just create something for you, for the child to be able to, you know, the way when we sit, most of us are not comfortable when we're dangling our feet, right? So same with the child. So they just need to put their legs flat on an item, right? So a high chair in my family is a compulsory item. We actually move around with one. I even have a portable one. I don't know if I can find it, but I have a portable one. I'm sure we can put photos of the portable ones. But we use it. I have one here, one in my mother's house. When we go to shags, we carry. When we go to restaurants, we ask for one, or we have one in the car. Love high chairs. For plates, when my babies are young, I told you I do baby-led weaning. So I really love these plates. And the reason I love them is with baby led weaning, remember the baby takes the food for themselves. So one is just make sure that the surface of the high chair is clean. Then I put the food on the high chair. But sometimes it's stew. So like one of the things my son really loved was ugali and omena. So I'll put ugali, mash it together with the greens, and then put the omena soup here, and then put the ugali here for him in strips when he was younger. Maybe I can insert a video of him eating, actually. That's what I'll do. So this plate, or this kind of plate, will actually stick on the table, and when the baby pulls it out, it doesn't come out. It sticks on. So I really love this. I bought this on Amazon, and I like Amazon because things are just a lot cheaper than here. But if you don't have access to Amazon, I am seeing these plates a lot on Instagram of late. Same technology with this. It sticks on the high chair or even on a dining table or on the kitchen table or wherever. So it sticks, and then the baby tries to remove because at that age they are really messy. But the baby led weaning is very messy. So they're able to just eat from here. Love them. For cups, I either use a shot glass. I can't find the ones that we used to use. This is also from IKEA. I get from IKEA Dubai. So you can either get from there or even local. There are people locally who import. It's just a plastic cup that the child can take like this and use an open cup. Or you can also put the lid. It is a sprouted. You see so with it just now and took the green lid. He was using it to eat snacks with. Anyway, so you can use it with a sprouted cup and the baby can take. It's important for you to teach your baby how to use an open cup from 6 months. It's a bit messy, but all you need to do is put a little, have the baby sip and then add, and then with time the child gets better and better at it. There's a lot of spillage, but we all mess up as we are learning. So I don't know why we are so scared of children messing up with learning how to eat and how to drink. So it's still very okay. And then there's this, actually for some reason I can't find the bottoms of my cups. So these are called 360 cups. Personally, I really loved them when my babies were young. So they sort of act like an open cup. Baby drinks like this. At the beginning, my babies, both of them didn't know how to use them. So I would open the side like this, kidogo. Then they'd feel there's water and then they would actually start to drink like that. Love them. But again, remember I told you, research is ongoing. So now what researchers and occupational therapists have found is this cup does not promote the proper use of a baby's mouth and jaw muscles and proper growth. So they're discouraging use of this. I don't know if I'll still use it with my next child, but I really like that it doesn't spill. Like you can just throw it in a bag and it doesn't spill at all. The technology on this is amazing. For straw cups, I love this one. It's also by Munchkin. It's called a weighted cup, a weighted straw cup. So as you can see, this bottom part has a weight on it. What I love about it is, you see the way toddlers, like they drink, they're like this, they're like that. And as you can see, this thing moves with the way the baby is moving. Most straw cups are stagnant. It's like this. So when the baby does that, it doesn't move with it. So the child can't drink when they're moving. But with this one, because it moves to each direction, it doesn't matter where the child is, the child will still be able to drink as long as the fluid moves with the bottle. I really love it. Most of my items actually are from Amazon, but I'm pretty sure you can find, this is by Munchkin, this is also by Munchkin. I'm sure you can find them locally. For spoons, when my babies are 6 months and they're self-feeding, mostly they use their hands, or this spoon, this is by Nu, N-U, or my N-U-K-E, I don't even remember. Num Num, actually, N-U-M, N-U-M. Again, also from Amazon. I've not seen this locally, but it's on Amazon and it's very light, therefore it will be very, very cheap to ship. So this, something like ugali, you mash into the ugali and then you give the baby. If it's mashed potatoes, you mash in, give the baby to take. They come two of them. There's this one and then there's the other one that doesn't have this hole that you can see in the middle. That one, things like mashed potatoes, yogurt, because oats, you just dip, you give the baby and they're just able to feed themselves. But for feeding, because sometimes it gets to a point where your baby needs to be fed, or even if you're using the traditional method, I like this spoon, or rather I feel like it's quite popular, but majority of us still don't eat with spoons that look like this. So sometimes some babies will refuse, and if a baby refuses some food with that, me, I really like these spoons. These are from IKEA. very cheap. They're actually very cheap spoons. I like that they're wide, but they're still open. Like they're not as enclosed, but they also look like a normal adult spoon. I feel like one of the things that we really need to be doing as parents is to teach our children how to actually eat the way we eat, because we don't eat with spoons that look like this. But when they are young and you feel like you want to use this because it's a bit further and it's a bit easier for the child to take and they don't have to open their mouth that much, it still works. This is also by Munchkin. And they also have a version where it does hot cold. So if the food is too hot, it changes to a white or something. So that works as well. This baby can, like, this is what my 4-year-old is using. My 2-year-old is also using this one to self-feed now. Before he could use that, this is what he was using. I don't know which brand this is. I feel like it's also a Munchkin. I'm not 100% sure, but it's a toddler spoon. As you can see, you've seen that the way children don't eat, like they don't have this coordination. So when it's like this, the child is just able to pick up the food and just feed themselves. And this, both my kids have used it. And I think that's another thing I like about investing in stuff. I actually bought this when my firstborn was maybe less than a year old. My secondborn has used it. My other children will still use it. And I think that's it in terms of the things that I like. Bibs, I love the wearable bibs. And I think those work with both, whether you're doing purees, traditional weaning, or whatever it is that you're using, because it actually covers the child all over and the clothes stay clean. The other thing you can also do is, if it's warm enough, just remove the clothes. Sometimes us guys, we eat outside. If you have a balcony, you can put the child on a balcony, diaper only. Sometimes even when the children were older, we were not even using the diaper, and just let the child make a mess and it's still okay. The baby will wash themselves after that. Biggest thing though is a good attitude. Don't start weaning at a point where you're tired. When you're starting to win at a time of day that is most relaxed in your home. In my home, that is always lunchtime. Evenings, I find them to be so chaotic. With small babies, my babies are usually on a program. There's a time within which they need to have slept. And then there's still the toddler, or there's still... So for me, lunchtime is usually when we're more relaxed. We've woken up, we've done the morning routine. Now it's around 11, because usually they take lunch at around 11 when they're younger in my home. So that's the time when I find it to be most relaxed, and that's the time that we use it, that we win. A good attitude will help you when things seem hard, when the child is refusing to eat, when they throw food on the floor, when they're putting food in their hair. It will just help you to navigate through the winning time. Also, other things that I really find to be useful, especially if you're doing purees, ice cube trays, and you can buy extra ones in any supermarket. Batch cook. So if you're doing purees, let's say today you're making peas, tomorrow you make carrots, and all this I'm going to be talking about in my cookbook called Little Foodies that's coming out very soon. So you batch cook your puree, you put it in the ice cube tray, you freeze it, you remove from the ice cube thingy. We'll insert a photo of what this should look like, and then put it into like a Ziploc bag. You can find Ziploc bags in supermarkets these days, and put in the freezer. And then another thing that's very important to have is labels. So the labels that you'll just find in supermarket, like the big white ones or big green ones, and then you'll just write carrot puree made on 27th January 2022. Then now, when you want to cook or you want to just mix up food, you'll take, especially if you want to be the one cooking, you don't need to cook, or just whatever. You take your carrot here, you take your beef puree there, you take your spinach puree there and your rice puree. You warm it up in a sufuria, you mix, and food is ready in 10 minutes, other than having to start to cook each and every single time. And if you're pureeing, you can actually do single purees of each food. So you do rice, you do your ugali, you do, if you're doing a puree for chapo, you do, as in whatever it is that you want to put in the freezer. Then when your baby is ready to eat, or when you're ready to warm it up, you just mix it up and it's a whole balanced meal, and you haven't put a lot of effort at that time. The effort was actually done before. Small, tiny containers, I bought mine from just a supermarket, the ones for like 30 bob, 40 bob. And what I'd do now is, if let's say today we've made rice, we'd make extra rice today without the salt. Then that means now tomorrow, the day after tomorrow, if you're making rice, that one we can make with salt, because now PC or Modoni already has the food that they're going to eat. So I'll put the kidogo rice, kidogo stew. By the way, I always have food in the freezer, always. Generally, because my children do weaning and they eat what we eat, there's always food for them. But there are days when maybe on a Sunday, I really don't feel like cooking and there's nothing in the freezer, or I've ordered pizza, or I've ordered something that has too much chili or too much salt and I don't want to give them. I'll just take the food from the freezer and warm it up for them. I know a lot of moms are made to feel like that is not a good thing, or they're being lazy, but you're not being lazy. You're actually being a proactive mother and a good mother. I think that's all about weaning. Or the other thing I think I'd like to mention is at 4 months, babies cry a lot and they wake up a lot at night. And it doesn't mean that your milk is insufficient. At 4 months, babies go through a sleep regression. So it's very normal for them to wake up early. So it's not a cause for you to actually do early weaning. Let me know if you have any questions regarding this. You can put them down below and I'll be answering them. You can also join our Facebook group, Little Foodies, and ask your questions there and I'll be answering them. And also other moms in the community can help you. Remember, it does take a village. See you next time, moms. Bye.